On death, the space worm now spawns a portal that the player can use to travel to other dimensions. It also spawns a portal at the linked location so you can return if you can find it. So first, I'll make a 2D node named dimension to hold all of the layers. So just the overlay and the derp star are directly under main. And we'll run it to see what broke. Okay. Bumper spawner has derp star hard-coded. So we'll use the global connector, which is it's an auto load script which you define in the project settings. So change all of these to the global. This is on main, so we'll change the path accordingly on all of these. Okay, and so here's the auto load connector class. So we'll change these paths as well on the explosions and the pickups, just those. Okay, so now for testing, I'll go ahead and turn down the boss timer, and I'll make it spawn a worm with 0 segments. And then I'm going to turn off the bumper spawning, since that all seems to be working. And okay, so now I'm going to use gimp to make a background for the second dimension. So I'm thinking it will be Mount Olympus. So I'm just gonna do like a cloudy sky for the background. So we'll render some tileable noise. That looks pretty good. And I'll probably change this later, but and then we'll turn up the contrast and the brightness down, and go ahead and blur it. That's probably good. And then we'll map seamless tile. Okay, and then colors to alpha. We'll make the black transparent. And then I can make a new color, a new layer with the sky color behind it. Alright. So now I'll make a new scene for the dimension. It'll be a 2D. And I'll just copy all of these over. And I only need one background layer for now, so I can change the texture since they're the same size. That looks pretty good. And I'll go ahead and attach the script. I'll just make a new blank node for the boss spawner. Okay. Then in the connector auto load, I'll add a variable for the dimension list. And on reset, we'll set the dimension list to an empty array, and then we'll append the current dimension, which will be this. And then we'll also append the second dimension. And we'll make a new instance of that. Okay, and then to load the dimension, it'll take the index ID. And so first we'll get the current dimension, which I should probably save as a class variable, but we're just going to do this right now. So we'll go ahead and grab the current dimension like this, and then we'll say main remove child current dimension, and then we'll add the new dimension. So dimension list add ID. Okay, and we'll have to reset these variables. I think that should work. Okay. Then in the space worm, I'm gonna make a duplicate of the wormhole, and we'll call it player portal. We'll attach a new script, and I'll just copy over this. So we need a dimension ID and a connected, a linked portal. And then we'll also go ahead and add an area 2D, so it'll detect the player, or it'll interact with the player. So we'll add a collision shape to this, get that at full size, and then we'll make a new circle. So it's the size about that big. And then we'll connect to the body entered signal on the wormhole. Okay. And then the area needs to be in the same collision layer as the player, which is on layer 20. So in the script, we'll have the teleport player function. So we'll use the connector to load the linked portal dimension ID. And then we'll set the player position to the linked portal position, like that. And then on body entered, since it's on the collision layer 20, it should only interact with the player, so we'll do that. Okay, so now in the boss fight, we'll make a new preload for the player portal. And then we'll say when the worm dies, alright. So we'll make a new spawn player portal function. And then we'll have the portal 1 and portal 2 equal new instance. Of the player portal. And then we'll set the portal 1 dimension ID equals 0 and portal 2. Eventually I might randomize so you can go to different dimensions, but right now we'll just hard code it. So we'll set the position of both of these to the worm position, so they'll be at the same place in both dimensions. So equals global position of the space worm, and then we'll set the portal 2 to be the same. And then we'll say, we'll just add this. So we'll get the dimension at dimension ID dot add child port 1. And then we'll add the second portal to the second dimension. And I also want to set the linked portal to each other. So okay. And now when it dies and it's the last worm, it'll spawn a player portal after it drops the boss core. So I guess we'll see if this works. Okay. I can't even get to it. Oh, hold on. That actually worked. Okay. Wow. And then Well, I lost my portal. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay, so now we get stuck in a loop going through the portal. I probably need to add a timer, but yeah. That works. Okay. So now on the player portal, I'll just add a timer for maybe 2 seconds. And then we'll say on body entered, timer.start. Okay, so then and we'll say the collision shape dot disabled. Yeah. You might be able to disable just the area. No. Okay. You have to disable the actual collision shape. So we'll disable that when it starts, and then we'll connect to the timeout signal, and we'll re-enable it when the timer is done. So this should stop you from teleporting for 2 seconds, just so you don't get, so you have time to escape. No, that seems to not be working. Interesting. Okay. So I'll just go ahead and add a disabled variable here. So on timeout, we'll say disabled equals false. And here we'll say disabled equals true. So if not disabled, then we'll do that. And see if this works. Okay, so that works. Now you actually have to leave and come back to use it. Good. Okay, I think I'm done with this one, so